Hey everybody, what's up? If you're like me, you like to get to the why and to the root of things. I think a lot of us as humans do. We like to understand and come at things with an understanding. We don't like to just blindly accept something and take it, right? So when I think about why do we want to manifest something, it's because we think that we'll feel better once we have it, right? Like that's the main reason. Otherwise, we wouldn't be surfing on YouTube for some explanations, for some answers. A lot of us think, there's got to be more to life than this, than just this. Go to work, come home, eat, sleep, get up, go to work, etc., etc. So I think it's important to evaluate the why and have a why behind why you're doing anything, right? So today I'm going to give you 4 questions to ask of your limiting beliefs. This will get you a good head start on having a deeper understanding of manifestation. So, my name is Alina. I'm a spiritual life coach, a manifestation coach, and a Reiki Master. So I've been reading this really awesome book. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. It was written in the 60s, and it's a very practical guide. It's basically like Neville Goddard, but Neville Goddard is very spiritual and kind of religious, a little bit mystical. If you want more of a really practical, down-to-earth, science-based, evidence-based sort of read and an understanding of how to manifest your life the way you want it to, this is a fantastic book. It's very easy to read, and even though it was written in 1960, it's very much applicable to today. Some of the language or some of the imagery may be a little bit dated, but it's still very much applicable to today. So I always recommend this, and I've gifted it to a few people now. So I'm going to read a little bit from the book just because I think this is so helpful and it's so fantastic. So he talks about, I guess there's a guy named Bertrand Russell, and he wrote a book called The Conquest of Happiness. He says, "I was not born happy. As a child, my favorite hymn was, 'Weary of earth and laden with sin.'" So then he goes on to explain how depressed he was. And then he got into, he had a desire to know more about mathematics. Then he says that he started to enjoy life. "I might almost say that with every year that passes, I enjoy it more. Very largely, it is due to diminishing preoccupation with myself. Like others who had a Puritan education, I had a habit of meditating on my sins, follies, and shortcomings." I think a lot of us can relate to that. We tend to dwell on things in our past that we wish we would have done differently, right? "So gradually I learned to be indifferent to myself and my deficiencies. I came to center my attention upon external objects, the state of the world, various branches of knowledge, individuals for whom I felt affection." So he describes sort of all the false beliefs that we've accepted as truth, as fact. And he recommends that in order to be happy, it comes from your beliefs, and your beliefs are just a thought that you continue to think over and over again. So he talks about that he can feel with such deep conviction a lot of these things that we've just accepted as true, but the more he evaluated them, he realized that they weren't true for himself. So he says, so then the author, what's his name? Maxwell Maltz goes on to, he basically utilizes, he's a plastic surgeon, and he uses his patients to kind of further his research, because he noticed that half of his patients, they would get a minor tweak, and then it would set themselves up for a lifetime of success. And it was just that little thing, and then they completely embodied this new self-concept, and it transformed their lives. And the other half of his patients, it's like it did nothing, and they were still the same person. They still felt like a loser. So he wanted to understand why that was, and it basically comes back to your self-concept, which we all know Neville Goddard talks a whole lot about, and how your self-concept is very important. So he recommends that you examine and reevaluate your belief. So one of the reasons that the power of rational thinking goes unrecognized is that it is so seldom used. He talks a lot about how we use our forebrain to make decisions a lot of times instead of our creative mind, which is the mind that's really connected to your higher self, that can, your subconscious mind, that you can ask a question of it before you go to sleep at night and awake the next day and basically find the solutions. So to put your creative mind to work instead of trying to use our, monkey brain or human brain, reptilian brain, whatever you want to call it. He says, remember that both behavior and feeling spring from belief. To root out the belief which is responsible for your feeling and behavior, ask yourself, why? Is there some task which you would like to do, some channel in which you would like to express yourself, but you hang back feeling that I can't? Ask yourself why. Why do I believe that I can't? Then ask yourself, is this belief based upon an actual fact or an assumption or a false conclusion? And then you ask yourself these 4 questions. Okay, so anytime you're coming up against sort of a limiting belief, like you've set your GPS, you know exactly where you want to go, you've got your end result in mind, you're visualizing it, and everything is good, and then you kind of pump the brakes, and you start feeling those feelings of limiting beliefs, of self-doubt, of, I can't have this, I can't be that person. You want to ask yourself these questions. Number 1, is there any rational reason for such a belief? That's sort of cognitive behavioral therapy. So the more you break it down, what you're going to find is that these limiting beliefs are built upon sand. It's nothing. It's just that it's something that you've accepted to be true for yourself, but inherently it is not. Number 2, could it be that I am mistaken in this belief? That's a powerful question to ask yourself, because we tend to have just accepted these things and we live our whole lives based on what we assume to be true. And when you go on your spiritual journey, as many of you are, you start to realize that it's not only not true, but it's not coming from you. It's not an idea that you yourself came to or, realized. It's something that you were told by others. Number 3, would I come to the same conclusion about some other person in a similar situation? That's very powerful. It's sort of like when we think about how we speak to ourselves in our mind, you think, would you talk to your best friend that way? No, you certainly wouldn't. So why do you do it to yourself? It's not helping your self-concept. It's not helping your end result. It's not helping your manifestation. And it doesn't feel good. And anything that when it doesn't feel good, that is your clue that it is not true and it is not coming from your higher self. Lastly, why should I continue to act and feel as if it were true if there's no good reason to believe it? So my thing is, even if all of this is just total bullshit, right? Like manifestation and all this stuff, even if it's not true, wouldn't I want to live my life assuming that it is? I want to live my life assuming that there were no limits on what I could achieve, that I could have and be and do anything I want? I'd much rather go to the grave having had a positive, happy life, even if I didn't manifest all the things that were on my list, or even if this all is bullshit. I would rather live my life that way, and that's an important thing to really ask yourself. You could continue on with your limiting beliefs and your negative self-concept and beating yourself up and living in this small little limited box. Or you could expand your consciousness, assume that there's something greater, and feel better on the ride that is life. That's how I would like to view things. And it says, don't just pass these questions by casually. Wrestle with them. Think hard on them. Get emotional about them. Can you see that you have cheated yourself and sold yourself short? Not because of a fact, but only because of some stupid belief. If so, try to arouse some indignation or even anger. Indignation and anger can sometimes act as liberators from false ideas. Alfred Adler got mad at himself and at his teacher and was unable to throw off a negative definition of himself. This experience is not so uncommon. So I think it is important, and it is a powerful part of the spiritual journey, that you do start questioning these things. And there can be a lot of emotions that come up when you start questioning them. It can feel like, the rug has been pulled out from under you and everything that you thought was true is a lie. It can really set you on a crazy course. And that's what they call, the dark night of the soul. That's part of it. So I'm here to be your friend and to kind of hold your hand through it if that's you, because I've been there and I know what it feels like. And I know that there is another side to it. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you do get through it. And your life is that much better for it because of asking these questions and really wrestling with these ideas. So that's all I got for today. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe. I'm out.